Well, hello, Venus retrograde journeyers. As promised, I am coming to you on the 17th um, to try and deepen our work with Venus as a gift to you. I was planning on doing this alone between Venus retrogrades, but I felt called to do it for you. I decided not to do it as live calls just because of my own time, and I'm sharing my journey with you. All right. So I'm going to share, um, and this, to be honest, is going to probably change the way I do my Venus class in future, but I will be doing the Venus class in future because it really did speak to me, but it speaks to me all the time and it grows and develops. And it's interesting that this Venus retrograde was in journey in, oh, I've got my headphones in and I don't need them because I'm on this. My Venus retrograde journey was in Gemini, which is about learning, opening your ear to the great below, if you remember. So, Venus met the moon earlier this morning, in fact, very early this morning. I probably should have done this video yesterday, but I was very exhausted. It's been a big week. But if you notice, this is the first Moon-Venus conjunction. I gave you lists in the PDF in probably the next to last call. I can't remember which one. Thank you, Rose, for reminding me, but I had remembered. I was doing it today when I could do it. But it met early this morning at 13 degrees. Now, I want to read to you some information about this because I am learning more and more and deepening my work with Venus every time I do this. And I want to really move through this next period towards the exterior conjunction that I talked about when Venus goes behind the sun. If you remember, Venus was in front of the sun in her retrograde journey from our perspective. I can't remember what I was going to finish that, but anyway, I want to deepen the work in between that journey so that I learn more about Venus. I feel it more, and you do too. And it's entirely free. So I'm kind of taking from a Cosmic Intelligence Agency article where I am an agent for that, and there are different traditions. So this is one I'm exploring. Okay. So after her maximum elongation from the sun post retrograde as a morning star, which she is now, or after her brightest apparition as morning star, Venus begins the next stage of her evolutionary cycle. Different traditions, as I have found, begin the descent of Inanna through the cycle of Venus and the moon, rather than just in the retrograde, as I have done and have been doing. So either after the first meeting of the waning moon and Venus, after brightest morning star apparition, or after maximum elongation as morning star. I would suggest, if you wish to work closer with Venus and align with her physical apparitions, it makes sense that Venus' brightest apparition, which is what she is now, you can really see her brightly in the morning now if you're up before the sun, is aligned to the crown chakra, the first gate. From the emergent phase of youth and the stability of her brightest apparition 36 days before her maximum elongation, shining bright as the morning star, Venus is full of growing confidence and drive and has a mission ahead that seeks accomplishment, fulfillment, and the great Venusian experience. Venus quite naturally shows us how to attract what we want and desire. While studying the Venus cycle, because Julia's been doing it quite a while, I was always perplexed as to the story of Inanna's descent into the underworld and her journey there through the 7 gates and how it related to the Venus cycle. It was generally understood by astrologers, me, that Venus would be in the underworld only when retrograde. Yet when retrograde Venus is only not visible in our skies for about 8 to 16 days, as she moves between Earth and in front of the Sun from our perspective. I always wondered, where were the 7 gates and how does this work? Now for me, I had kind of fit it into, it was 7 weeks, 40 days, 40 nights, approximately 7 weeks, which is the retrograde. Sometimes it's 40 days, sometimes it's 43. So I had kind of justified it by that, and maybe other astrologers have too. And who knows, maybe that's right. We're going to find out by working with this, I think. Okay. How could this relate to a 7-gated journey? Seemed like there wasn't enough time. And it does, you notice I had to do more than 1 gate in each week. And this is all new work that's been coming to me, okay? She says, further into my searching, I noticed that there is a period of time that Venus disappears from our skies for much longer on her way to the outer conjunction with the Sun. This is when she's moving very fast and keeping pace with the Sun, therefore travelling with its light and invisible to us for more than 60 days. It seemed that this could be a far greater journey than the one she takes when nearing Earth and the retrograde. It was not long after I came across this in a book, Astrology, A New Generation, written by Gary Caton, who's a great astrologer. Retells the story of the Inanna's descent into the underworld. I must get his book, actually. Reflecting the cycle of Venus and her journey through the 7 gates before she gets there. Gary writes that the journey to the underworld begins with the first waning moon conjunction with Venus after her max elongation as the morning star, and then every month after that, it's 7 months, 1 month per gate. Gemini Brett has taught many of us that in shamanic astrological traditions, this begins with her brightest apparition, which I am now led to concur with, as mentioned above. It's a beautiful, truly beautiful connection, and one that helps us to connect further to the planet Venus and connecting ourselves with her cycle throughout our lives. Shamanic astrologers use the 7 gates to begin after Venus' brightest apparition as the morning star. The time between these 2 points is about 36 days. So I've got to explore that, but for now we're going to use the conjunctions with the moons, okay? And we know about the journey into the descent into the underworld as I've read it through the class. But it's a very old tale stemming from ancient Sumeria, a deep and powerful myth that is reflected by the journey of Venus towards her outer conjunction with the Sun, the next one. Physically, during this journey, she lowers in the sky each night after maximum elongation and also starts to lose brightness, appearing to descend from our perspective. The whole synodic cycle of Venus can be seen as a complete journey of 19 months and looked at in stages as the diagram below. Anyway, I'm not going to show you the diagram because it's actually disappeared from the article. The story of the descent into the underworld goes a bit, we know that actually, we know the descent. So I'm going to look at each gate in this journey through this, okay? And instead of reading the book again, we're just going to do a journey to the crown chakra, all right? I mean, what do you wear as a shield up here? You know, how do you shield it? Do you do it energetically? Do you feel it? Okay. Visualize your journey with your own symbols. What do you need to take off energetically or physically to reveal your crown chakra at its fullest? Okay, what may you be hiding behind? A false relationship, an unfulfilling job, some kind of spiritual awakening you're kind of denying. You will know when we're doing this journey, okay? So this is the first one of that. So I'm going to look at the chart, and we are going to go down them all. Okay. This is gate 1 though. Oh no, it's the 7th gate, because we go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's first gate, but start at 7. So this is going to be the crown, which is your connection to heaven and the godhood. Okay, whatever that means for you. So pick your own symbols, your own crown, your own connection to source, to spirit, to whatever you think it is. All right, but we're going to look at the chart first. So here we are, the moon conjunct Venus at 13 degrees Gemini, which takes us back to June the 3rd, which was the star point. Okay, and this star point is in square to Ceres over here in Pisces. And if you remember, I talked a little bit about Ceres and Venus possibly being connected with this journey with Pluto, Demeter, or Ceres, and Persephone or Venus. So it's this kind of going into the underworld. It's the loss of innocence, which was about Persephone, because some say she was kidnapped, some said she went willingly. It's about grief, it's about forgiveness. This is all about our human relationship. And if any of you are aware, we've had a big mess going on in the astrology world right now. And the healing, incidentally, seems to be happening about now. It threw everybody into fighting, and it was about men-women relationships and women's relationships with women. The healing suddenly starts to be coming through this first gate. Okay, bear with me. I'm just going to pause because my Roomba's coming down the hall. That's funny. It decided to come down the hall outside my office door, so I've shut the door. But anyway, I really do think we have this, in fact, it's always in perfect timing, okay, because we have Venus, Ceres, and Pluto coming together on December the 7th, 2024, a conjunction at 0 Aquarius, which to me is kind of this real beginning of coming together for this age of Aquarius that we're going to get glimpses of later this year. If this goes over your head a little, don't worry, we're going to talk about it more. I do want to take you back to June the 3rd, first of all. I've got the chart somewhere for it, but I should have got it up. It doesn't matter. We'll look at the Venus conjunction. So it was the Venus conjunction with the Sun then, if you remember, it was the star point. And if you think about it, we have the Sun and the Moon are our core identity, but the Sun is the male and the Moon is the female too. Venus comes between all of this and draws it all together. Venus is our next closest planet to the Sun. All of this is bringing our personal together. You know, Mercury and Mars are involved in all of this as well, and I will speak to that in a minute. But this was at 13 degrees, and I'm not going to get it to the exact point. Back on June the 3rd, if you remember this. And at the time, it was in square to Mars. Ceres was not quite there yet. And so, remember I said it involves Mars? So this is involving, this time, the Venus in Gemini retrograde, to my mind, is starting to bring together the masculine and the feminine. And I think there's never any accidents. I do want to just get my book. that this book is doing really well that I wrote. If you don't have a copy yet, I'm going to do a giveaway. I meant to do it on Monday, but I've had quite the week. Anyway, I'm going to do a giveaway on my Facebook page. Talks about you starting to use different language night and day to bridge this gap, to move into this twilight zone of day and night coming together into that twilight time, but seeing more the feminine night energy as more powerful again. We're learning to lean into it. You're learning to really become yin yang in this society that is so day oriented. I mean, for heaven's sake, we even like have lights on all the time to drown out the dark. Everybody's afraid of the dark, and we drown it out to such a point that we can't actually see the stars. So, you know, we, in our culture, we've become so disconnected from the day and night and the natural cycles, and that's what's being brought back. And the star point was bringing the very day energy of the sun in connection with Mars in Pisces, though, which is a very yin or night sign. Okay, it's the dark, the womb. So we're bringing all this stuff into alignment. And I know I'm kind of not really planning these calls, you should know. I'm learning what it's speaking to me as I speak to you. Okay, so to go back to now, there we have it, 13. Ceres is now at in square to it. Oh, there's a couple of other things I've noticed, actually, and I will talk about them. And Ceres is gone retrograde, following the path Mercury was at retrograde at, exactly from February the 25th to March the 10th. And in this period, which, you know, maybe it's just because I've only fairly recently really started tracking the degrees and the cycles and really noticing the patterns. This could have been going on forever, but I also think a lot of this is bringing us into this new paradigm, a more coming together, that as I've just been talking about. Ceres is very much about grief and forgiveness, but also natural cycles and harvest, the seasons, all that kind of thing that again we've lost touch with. So she represents all of that. Mars is over here. Remember, Mars was square the star point before, and now he is conjunct Chiron, that shamanic healer, the key to healing, our identity, the I am in Aries, and Lilith is there. And Lilith was the original woman who was cast out for not, in the myth, was cast out for not submitting to Adam. Now, Venus, you could say, is Eve, and she did submit, but she was subversive in her own way because she took the apple and from the serpent, which, so all these myths all come together. And, you know, over the terms of the patriarchy for so long, the polarity has become huge. And even though astrology is all polarities, to my mind, the meeting is in the middle. Okay. So many things I could talk about, but I do not want to confuse you. I want to start by saying that this is the first one, and this is the crown chakra, and this is our connection to spirit, to the Godhead. What's stopping us connecting with the Godhead, with spirit? Okay. So, we're going to do a journey. I'm going to get that lovely drum track up again and do it when you've got time over the next couple of days and really connect with your crown chakra. You know, this time I am not going to tell you what to do. You're going to go into this crown chakra. You're going to feel your way into it. You're going to ask, what can I do to open this up and have it fully open to receiving spirit in whatever way that is for you. Okay. And we'll go through each one each month, and I'll talk a little bit more each month about what I'm discovering. And I'll probably buy Gary's book as well, because this is like wonderment for me, and it's going to inform my future classes. So Venus is just the most fascinating planet of them all. So there's there's my Roomba banging on the door, but I'm going to change the settings so that you get the so please do a journey to your crown chakra. This is just opening my heart up in major ways, so I hope it is yours. So I'm just going to get the screen up that I want. Oh, that's why it won't do it. Hang on. I'm probably just going to make these videos public. So if you're watching this, this is kind of an extension from my Venus retrograde class that I did, which has been developing over 3 times, and I'm learning to work with Venus at a deeper level. So you may as well experience it with me. So let me stop the share. Let me go to Zoom. You'll lose my sound in a second, so get ready for your journey, okay? And it's going to be 15 minutes, and then I'm going to end the call there. If you're witnessing this live on YouTube, I mean, you know, for the first time on YouTube and weren't in my Venus retrograde journey, know that, you know, astrologers are learning all the time, and this is me learning to deepen my journey with Venus, which is, to my mind, the higher incarnation of Earth and the self. It's the higher self. So I invite you to join me every month when the moon joins Venus. Okay, it's about every month. Okay. All right then, guys. Do some journaling. Share in the group if you like. I've decided I'm not going to share this publicly, so ignore anything I said about that. I've decided this is just for the group and us. And I will see you next time, next month, when Venus, let's just quickly look at that. When Venus moves to conjunct again. Okay, and that will be on, let me see what day it is. Oh, I think it's on a weekend. I'm never very good on the weekends. Maybe I'll get it done the day before. Let's hope. Because remember, these are for my learning and you're getting the benefit. So anyway, it's on the Saturday the 15th and it's very early. So I'm actually going to put it on my calendar to do your video the day before. We'll be doing a journey to the oh God, I can't think what I'm blooming well saying half the time. Okay, we'll be doing it to the third eye. Okay, your sense of magic and ability to manifest. Okay, so journey to the third eye as Venus meets in Cancer, which is where Mercury is right now. So you cannot make this up. How these patterns kind of carry on. So I'll talk more about that next time. But this is your journey, remember, it's my journey too. I'm taking my own notes about what this is meaning for me. And this is going to inform my next classes, but this is not me telling you anything. I'm going to point out patterns and things, but enjoy the journey.